And some interesting radio conversations under this yellow with Danica Patrick. It's really cool to watch and listen to her in her very first stock car race. It's the simple things we tend to forget about in stock car racing, like a red flag condition, parking the car on an angle, what fans to turn off, what exactly to do in the race car. She even asked Tony Uri Jr., do I turn off my radio? And they, without any kind of crackle on the radio, said no, leave the radio on. She also wanted to know, how long does this typically last? 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 15 minutes? So she was being very patient. She tried her drink system, which she hadn't tried yet, and she said that worked very well. So it's the simple little things, even under red flag, that Danica Patrick is learning. Jim?
I was, when we were on Danica a little bit ago there, I was sitting there, I was watching her in the car, and she looks really bored to me. She looks like she's looking around, and she takes a real deep sigh of breath here, and like, you know, hey, what are we doing anyway? How come we're not racing? The other thing I thought about is she sits in that car. Can you imagine the different feel it is for her when you sit in an Indy car, you're just in your little cocoon, and look around inside this great big, it's like getting in a bus. Yeah. But look, she just looks like she's getting really bored. So, man, I'd like to be doing some racing. This is ridiculous.
Well, you mentioned IndyCar. Danica Patrick has a lot of seat time in the open wheel ranks. First woman to win an IndyCar Series race. And he's 5th in the 2009 IRL standings. And I think the 2005 IndyCar Rookie of the Year really kind of vaulted her right onto the scene.
You know, and she's no stranger to running side by side at a high rate of speed. Right. You know, the races they run at Texas and Kansas and places like that, Chicagoland, I mean, they'll run 215 miles an hour with their wheels, you know, just inches apart. So she's no stranger to that, and that part doesn't bother her. And really nothing out here bothers her. She just realizes she just doesn't know very much about these cars, and that's why she's trying to learn, and that's why she's here.
You know, I raced with Janet Guthrie, and I thought she was as good as probably I'd ever seen. Lynn St. James and I were teammates here in a 24-hour race one time. I've seen Sarah Fisher, but those ladies have all done a great job, but Danica has an advantage on all of them. They never won.
That's right.
And she has, and of course that's an incredible accomplishment.
Before the race, we heard Danica Patrick say seat time is very important, and I think she has done exactly that up to this point. She stayed out of trouble. Even when there was trouble in front of her, she avoided.
There's another view right there of that incident with Dakota Armstrong. I think she's done absolutely everything that could possibly be asked of her to this point.
Again, Danica just one of 6 female drivers that started this race. Here is where they are standing. Only 3 still remain in the race. Jill George, the most recent to fall out of the race after the big accident coming out of turn number 4. Okaduno and Leilani Munter were involved early on in accidents.
There's people that think Allie Owens is you know, she's got a shot at getting up there and mixing it up a little bit here as things unfold, I think.
Yeah, she's made some pit stops. That's why she's running as far back as she is right now. Jennifer Jo Cobb also has quite a bit of experience. Has run the ARCA car some, as well as some trucks, and actually going to run the truck series this year, the Camping World Truck Series, starting next week right here in Daytona.
That's right, Wendy. During this red flag condition, we listened in between crew chief and driver of the 17.
How am I going to know what my pit speed limit is?
Nice and easy here. Nice and easy. You got one stop here on your right. Clear him.
Okay.
And Danica Patrick is already out of her pit stall. It was a little bit of confusion. She did come in very clean. She has damage on the left left rear quarter panel of her race car. It was fuel only for the 7 crew, but Tony Eury Jr. did a fantastic job of slowly bringing her into her pit, and there was a lot going on because her pit road speed was hard to monitor. Her gauges with her RPMs are not correct, and she feels like it's idling awfully high. So there is some concern of watching that and getting through all of this. After a red flag, a driver has to go through a lot of this process, and you know it's something to learn when it's your first stock car race.
Great job, great pit work by Tony Eury's guys. It looks like she was second off pit road, but we had a few cars stay out. Bobby Gerhardt being one of those, Mark Thompson, Allie Owens, Justin Marks, the 32. So we've got some good cars stayed out. Little pit strategy. All those cars had previously pitted. They feel like they probably have enough fuel to get to the end. So now they're going to be up front.
Wendy, did they change tires on the 7, or they just fuel it?
No tires. It was fuel only. Fuel only. Tony Eury is saying you've only run 6 green flag laps, 8 green flag laps. So they were concerned that the tires still weren't good enough. Now they are talking right now about saving fuel for Danica at the end of the race, and Tony says it's not enough. We have a few more laps as a cushion, but right now no tires for the 7 car at this time. Fuel only. And she did ask as she got back on in the race car, did you fuel it up? Yeah. Yes, they did.
Are they worried about that ding in the left rear quarter panel?
I'd call that a parachute.
Yeah, that's pretty considerable.
It's pretty big.
And you know, I didn't realize the damage she had until she got right into the pit stall in front of us, and I'm not sure the team did either, because Tony Eury Jr., as soon as she came to a stop, got a little bit frantic on the radio saying fix the rear quarter panel. So now that we're watching that, we are going to keep an eye on it, but there's no plan of bringing her back down pit road at this point. That was their one chance of straightening out that left rear quarter panel.
I'm wondering when that happened.
It happened in the down here when the 22 had the flat tire. She got scraped as she went by. I forget who it was, but somebody got into the left rear of her car.
What will Danica do now? Will she stay down on the bottom of the racetrack, or will she go with that moving line up high?
I think she needs to stay with that 51, DW.
Well, I think she needs to stay on that yellow line, because that was her game plan. I think she ought to stick to it.
Danica Patrick all the way up to 5th now. That's the highest she's run.
Here's going to be the temptation for Danica as she goes down the back.
She's on the outside now. She gets behind the 51.
That was what I was going to say. She was going to come up off that bottom, try to go with that 51. I hope that works out for her. The first time I've seen Danica off of the yellow line in 2 days.
She's going to stay to the back bumper of the 51.
So far, so good. I like what she's doing, and obviously the 51 is a guy that we think can get himself back to the lead if she can stay with him.
And then it's Danica Patrick just behind Danica.
Danica's losing the contact with that 51 as he kind of makes a little headway up that outside. She needs to stay right with him. That'll help him and her both. She's actually hurting the 51 right now when she can't stay with him like that, falling back.
See how they do coming through 3 and 4.
Car looks just a little loose to me. It's moving around a little bit more than what we've seen. Of course, it's going faster than I think it's probably gone all day too.
She mentioned when she tested she wanted to do a little bunt drafting, but wasn't quite able to get up as close to the car in front of her as she wanted to, so she really didn't do any bump drafting. They're actually losing some ground now.
Yeah, well, she's actually hurting the 51. When you're just that 3 or 4 car lengths back off of the back bumper of the car in front of you, you're slowing him down. And you can see he's losing a little ground to those lead cars.
We saw Danica get into the back of John West Townley.
Yeah, Danica, she wants to bump John West. She's been right up there, but I think she's a little concerned about where to do it. I think she doesn't have the experience, and she knows it would help both of them, but she's afraid to do it, I think.
DW, let me ask you, right now we've been seeing John West Townley move around quite a bit in front of Danica. Does that get you up on your nerves a bit?
Well, I think it confuses Danica, because she doesn't know what he wants her to do. Do you want me to go with you? Do you want me to push you? Do you want me to stay here? I think that's one of those things, learning things she's going through right now, but she's doing the right thing. Hold your line, stay where you are, and let it come to you. Now, see, she's starting to drift up the hill here. She feels like she can make a pass, but that gets you in trouble.
Yes, Patrick Shelter right behind her.
Single file to 60.
Patrick pulled in behind her.
You get such a run because of the draft that you feel like, man, I can go by all these guys.
Being patient.
For her, it takes a lot of discipline, which she is very disciplined, to stay right where she is. I'm just not real sure why that 7 car won't stay tucked up. It seems like she loses a little bit of ground to the car in front of her.